What's MC? Minecraft? Lots of homework. Okay. I didn't know Minecraft was still a thing. My kids have stopped playing because we lost the disc. Clean and organized. Tennis practice is good. That gets us out of the house. Oh, if you don't do your work and you don't keep up when your assignments are assigned, then sometimes we have to do work on our breaks. I know I have to do work on my break because I haven't kept up with grading, have I? David, where do you get to travel to? I'm curious where we're going. All right. Mexico, got it. That'll be exciting. Are you going to see family, David? Baseball practice is always good. Asian dramas, got it. We don't watch anything here unless it's Disney and animated or it's on the Hallmark Channel. So, all right. We are going to probably, let's see, my husband's planning on taking the 2 older kids to Big Bear to go skiing just one day because they've never skied before. And that we're comfortable with because they'll pretty much be covered in gear and stuff anyway, so they won't be touching anything. And then I might take one of them or both of them down to downtown Disney for a day. Don't know what I'm going to do there because all you can do is eat and buy stuff. So we'll probably go eat, but we haven't been to even the area in a year. So the last time we went was a year ago during February break. I got on Rise of the Resistance that time though. So that was exciting. All right. If you noticed, we also want Desmos open. If you don't have that open, get it open right now because our first few problems are in Desmos. Let's see, I don't know that I even have it open yet today. I don't think I do. Let me get it open too. All right. And we're going to eat good too. That's the other plan, is we are going to eat well during break. Usually I like to cook a little bit more inventively during break than I do when we're not on break. My plan is to do like the Valentine's Day cookies like we do Christmas cookies. I don't know how much I'll get done, but that's my plan. Okay, we are going to start a little baby step into exponentials / logarithms today. The homework today, it's a little bit different. It's more of kind of an activity, and I'll get into that after we do our 7 examples here. Before we can explore logarithms, we need to revisit exponentials a little bit. You have seen exponentials. You hopefully saw them in Algebra 1. I know if you were at Talkwitz for Algebra 1, you definitely saw them. I'm not sure about middle school, but you should have seen exponentials. All an exponential is a function that is a number to an exponent. Okay, that's what we mean by exponential when you hear me say exponential. Okay, we just did haircuts for all the boys, but I do all the haircuts at the house, except for the only person who leaves the house for the haircut is me, and I haven't had it done since like August, September, I think. So, my daughter's hair is not bad. I just cut a line, but boys are a little more challenging. I've learned how to do boy hair. All right, so including my husband, I do my husband's hair too. All right, so f of x equals a to the x, where a is greater than 0, a does not equal 1, and x is a real number. So basically, this here has to be a number. It's just not negative, and it's not 1. Okay. I know I'm kind of I saw yours at the beginning of your Amy, and it was super long. I'm thinking I need mine shortened again too. It gets too heavy. So we're going to use a calculator to evaluate the function. Yay, calculator, right? So we have to learn how to use this. If I was going to write the notation out for this, I would say f, and I'm going to plug this guy in there. Negative 3.1 equals 2 to the negative 3.1. We're going to use Desmos as our calculator for now, okay? Next year, next fall, okay, wherever we are next fall, when we start calculus, we are going to have to use the graphing calculator. So you're going to learn how to use those next year. We're going to emphasize that right at the beginning of the year. If we were sitting in my classroom, you'd be using them right now, because I always have them out. So f of negative 3.1, oh, sorry, I don't even need to do that. Let's just do 2 to the negative 3.1. There's the answer right there, okay? Now, whenever we are doing decimal points, whether or not it states it, okay? Whether or not it states it, you are going to do 3 decimal places, okay? So if I was going to round this to 3 decimal places, what do you guys think we would round it to? Can you tell me that in the chat, please? What would I round that to? Elizabeth, you were the first to answer. Nice job. We're still talking about cutting hair. Gotta love it. Okay, we're talking about math now, just for a few minutes, okay? Then we can go back to talking about cutting hair. All right, I really appreciate the zeros. Watch where you're putting that decimal point. Make sure the decimal point is 0 point something, okay? The nice thing about, I know sometimes we just slip on the keyboard and that's okay. The nice thing about putting the 0 there is if we were actually writing this by hand, if you have the 0 there and you miss the decimal point, I would at least know you meant a decimal point there, even though we shouldn't, okay? That's a nice like little reminder. All right, so here comes the next piece. Now we get to flub in a substitute in pi. Nice. Okay, so we literally have to type pi into our calculator. Let me fix that. It did not look like negative pi. It's negative pi. Okay. So you can either exit out or you can just go to the next line. Either one of those works. It's 2. Oh, and I forgot to show you the exponent. I'm so sorry about that. If you hit this keyboard, the exponents are hiding in there. There's lots of things hiding in there. The pi is hiding in there. The root is hiding in there. So you don't see it here. If you hit functions, it's probably hiding over here in functions, okay, especially in that miscellaneous one. The other thing you can do is you can hold the shift key down and the 6 and see how that raised it a little bit. I hit shift and 6 and that raises the exponent. And I'm going to do negative, just a minus sign, and then I start typing the word pi and it automatically changes to pi. Okay, so that's one way to do it. All right, so what is that rounding to this time? Can you guys tell me what we would write for our 3 decimal places? All right, nice job. And the reason I'm insisting on 3 decimal places, that's a calculus thing, okay? I train you now so that next year we are 100% ready for that because we want it to be. I totally lost the presentation, didn't I? What happened? I left the meeting apparently. Let me fix that. Mute that. Try that. Let's see. Okay, it said adios. It did. All right, and now the virtual background's gone and everything, so you can see the light on the ceiling and the purple ceiling, huh? Let's see if I can get back to the background, because it should go automatic to that one. Nope, it doesn't like it very well, does it? Okay, like a quarter of the background? Oh well, it is what it is right now. We're gonna go with it, because I'm not gonna spend the whole lesson fixing the background. All right, yeah, I do. I see a quarter of the background now too. That's really weird. Okay, I'm sorry about that light that's there. I could probably, let me go shut the light out so it doesn't shine into your faces. We'll sit in the dark. Okay, here we go. So we're back here. So we get 0.113. So here's what I want you to do. I don't know if you've done it already. Don't type it in the chat yet. I want you guys to try this one in the calculator. So everybody tried that one in your calculator in Desmos. If you don't have, I don't have my phone to model it. If you're just using your cell phone, okay, and I know that iPhone does it. I'm sure Android does it too. If you're just on the calculator app on your cell phone, if you turn it sideways, it will turn to a scientific calculator, okay? And then you just use the X to the Y or the Y to the X button. All right, I'm giving you a chance, about 30 more seconds. Don't type anything in the chat yet. We're gonna give everybody a chance and see if we can all do it at the same time. Okay, In the chat, tell me what you got for your answer. Make sure we're rounding it. Well, I'm seeing a little discrepancy in the rounding. But for the most part, it looks like we're at least hitting the buttons the right way. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to go back here just to double check our rounding. So it was 0.6 to the 3 divided by 2. So I'm seeing a 4.7, so it should have been a 5. Okay, so I'm agreeing with this 465 on this one, right? Okay, so 0.465. All right, is it hard to believe that we just spent 5 minutes on learning how to use a calculator? So now let's talk about graphing. All right, so we're going to revisit graphing a little bit. Very, very similar to what we did when we were talking about parabola graphing. All right, I kind of skipped over cubic graphing because it's identical to parabola graphing. So I kind of skipped it. We'll come back and revisit after we're done with trig and all that. We will come back and revisit graphs really quick at the end of the year. Okay, just to make sure you understand all the parent graphs. So our domain. So remind me in the chat, what is the domain? Is that the X values or the Y values? Is the domain X values or Y values? Good job. We haven't forgotten everything. That is excellent. Okay, so it is in fact the X values. So if I think about my X values, there's a little, I'm going to zoom in a bit. Okay, so if I assume an arrow on that end to the left, that means I'm going from negative infinity. And it's going slower, but that arrow on the right means I'm still going to positive infinity. And it doesn't matter if I'm increasing or decreasing. There's technically 2 versions of this. It would be negative infinity to positive infinity there as well. Okay, so if domain is the X values, what's the range? Tell me in the chat, what's the range? The Y values. Okay, so the Y values are a little bit different. And you're noticing hopefully that I'm using interval notation versus inequality. It doesn't matter, okay? And we're just talking through these graphs. We're not doing a whole lot with them other than talking through it at this point. So you'll notice that there is nothing below the x-axis there, right? So I'm technically starting at 0, but I'm going up to infinity. And we're using a parentheses because we're never going to actually touch 0. All right. Then another thing about an exponential is you're going to notice that there's always this same point on the graph. Unless we somehow shift it, we're always going to have the x-intercept, or I'm sorry, the y-intercept of 0, 1. And isn't that, now look at that compared to our intervals, it looks identical, doesn't it? When we get to calculus, we write our point notation a little bit differently. Okay. The graph on the left is always increasing, whereas the graph on the right is always decreasing. Remember, we read increasing and decreasing from left to right on the graph, okay? So it's basically, it's increasing on the entire interval, it's decreasing on the entire interval. So from negative infinity to infinity. All right, our horizontal asymptotes. Do you see that in there? Remember, asymptotes are things that help us guide where we graph. We can get really, really close to them and never cross them. We talked about that with horizontal and verticals in the last unit. So if it's a horizontal asymptote, okay, when I want to write the equation of a horizontal asymptote, because I know it's got to be, I got to write the equation. Okay, I know it's going to equal 0. But for horizontal, is it x equals 0 or y equals 0? What do you guys think? Tell me in the chat. X equals or y equals? Good, 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 good. Okay, so it is in fact y equals. Nice job. I saw one x to go in there, but most of you guys are on the y equals page. Right, all this is talking about is as the y value gets closer to 0. So as my y value is going down, my x value is going to the left. That's all that's saying. Okay. This one is saying, hey, as the y value is going down to 0, the X value is moving in the positive direction. Okay, I'm not super worried about you being able to fill that in. Okay. All right. To graph the exponential equation by hand, fill out a table of values. Include 3 points, some bigger than 0 and some smaller than 0. We'll talk about what those 3 points are that I like to do here in just a minute. Then we are going to plot the points that are in the table. And then we're going to connect the points with a curve. All right, so we're actually going to practice a few graphing them by hand, okay? It doesn't hurt to go back and look at graphing them by hand. Even though I know we've got technology to do all this for us, it's good to know just how this happens, just in case. You never know when you're going to hit something where you don't get your calculator on it and you have to plot something by hand. I can use this technique with any, with any graph, okay? Because all I'm going to do is a t-chart, all right? So we're going to pick a t-chart. We're going to pick some X values and we're going to calculate our Y values. This time we're going to use this function here for example 4. All right. We are going to, so I'm going to pick some X values. It said I needed 0, right? For sure. It says, I'm going to read that again, right? It says, fill out the table of values. Include some points bigger than 0 and some points smaller than 0. So what do you guys think would be a good point that's smaller than 0? What's a good X value that's smaller than 0? Can you tell me in the chat? Did my other students tell you about this? That's like one of my favorite X values to pick. Okay, so what's my favorite X value that's bigger than 0? What do you guys think? What's my favorite X value? Isn't that great? Those are like the best numbers ever, aren't they? 0s and 1s, because they're like the super easiest to work with, okay? So quiz, okay, because this goes into what I actually do with you guys next year. What value do you think I pick if I can't pick -1 and 0? Or -1, 1, or 0? What do you think would be another easy number to pick that's easy to work with? Tell me in the chat, what do you think? And it's totally a wild guess, and I'm going to see if anybody gets it. We've gotten a lot of 2s. It's not 2. It's not 3. So if it's not 2 and it's not 3, what do you guys think is easy? It's not a half. That's a fraction, people. We don't work with fractions unless we have to. Oh, Jose, you got it. You got it, Jose. 10. Because it's 0s and 1s, right? 0s and 1s are easy to work with. So good job, Jose. All right, so if I can't pick those, I tend to go to 10 if I can, okay? It's not that any of the other values are bad, okay? All the values are good, especially when we get to pick. I just try to pick things that are easy to work with and easy to work with in my head, okay? All right, so we're gonna put those numbers in. We're gonna 3 to the -1. Remember, a negative exponent does not like being in the numerator, so I'm gonna move it to the denominator. So it'd be 1 over 3 to the first, or just 1/3, and I'm gonna plot that. Out -1, up 1/3 would go here. All right, I'm going to plug the 0 in to this function, right? I'm plugging into there. So I have 3 to the 0 power. What is anything to the 0 power? Doesn't matter what number I raise to the 0 power. What do we get? Tell me in the chat. Oh, I'm tricking a few of you. Tricking a few of you. Some of you might want to revise your answers. All right, it is in fact 1, because there's only one way I can get 3 to the 0 power, right? It's 1. All right, and then we've got 3 to the first, which is just going to be 3. I've got to plot these last two. So I'm out 0, up 1, out 1, up 3. And 3 points is enough to show us how it's curving, okay? Originally, when I did these notes, it said 5 points. I took out the 5. I'm like, that's too much, especially for a Friday, right? So Okay, hang on, I lost stuff on the other computer. Give me a second. All right, I'm back. No sleeping. No sleeping. Okay, we're going to get this done. You all can sleep at like 4 o'clock. Okay, go to bed early. I'll even let you sleep for like a week. Okay, I give you permission to sleep for like a week, but you got to make it to 4 o'clock this afternoon. Get all your homework turned in first. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's keep going. We at least did this much. We were at the end of that example, right? So let's try example 5. I got to be able to see my chat here. Okay, so we are going to do another T-chart. I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to pick those same values. I'm going to pick -1, 0, and 1. Okay, and we're going to put 4. I'm going to put them in. So notice it's got a negative in here this time. So it's negative, -1. What happens when I have a double negative in the chat, everybody? What happens with a double negative? What do you guys think? Ah, it's positive. That's right. So double negative turns positive. So I really just have a 4 there. So I could graph that, right? -1 up 4. Wow, look at that. It's starting high this time, right? Okay, putting in a 0. Anything in the 0 power you already told me is 1. Check that out. We got that point. 0, 1 again. And then we're going to put in the 1. So I'd get 4 to the -1 again. That bring it downstairs to make it happy. So it is out 1, up 1/4, which would be about right there. So this time the exponential is going to decline. It's going to decrease. So it's going to start really steep and then rapidly decrease and then flatten out at the asymptote of the x-axis. Okay. You are not going to have to probably graph them by hand other than the ones we just did in the notes. That was purely to experience graphing it by hand. Okay. All right. I realized as I was doing these notes with my first period yesterday that I left off like a box of stuff. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of the box of stuff in the left-hand column. You don't need a whole lot of it because you already know it. Okay, it's stuff we already know about. We're just going to kind of summarize in the left-hand column. So remember when we were doing parabolas, let's talk about that for a minute. Okay, when I had the h in there, okay, did the h that was next to the x, did it move it left and right or up and down? So tell me in the chat, what do you remember from first semester? Did it move left and right or up and down? I'm going to give everybody a chance because I want to hear everybody. Yeah, it went left and right. And remember that this one was opposite signs, right? Well, guess what? We have that same exact property when we do an exponential. So we're going to see that it's a to the x minus h. This is going to be left, right. And you want to make sure you use opposite signs, okay? It works the same way with any time we have the x. Right, and that's an h. That's weird, isn't it? You fix it. All right, when you see this, a to the x, and we're going to do a plus k or a minus k, remember that's an up and down movement, okay? And that one you keep the sign. So this one is up, down. That says down, and you're going to keep sign. And give you a second there to get that put in the left-hand column. All right, the other two that we're going to see are reflections. So we're going to add those in there, and then we're going to work through example 6 and 7, okay? And then look at how close we are. We've only been going for like less than half an hour already because I was a little late starting. So y equals negative a to the x. That's going to be a reflection in the x-axis. Reflect across the x-axis. And then when you have the negative in the exponent, that's going to reflect on the y-axis. Okay, I'll give you a minute to write that down, then I'm going to scroll back up. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on. This one's a little bit weird. This one works better when I do it. I probably should have left this example in like PowerPoint because I can move things around. But it is what it is. So they gave us the graph of y equals 4 to the x. So that's what this is right here. I need to figure out which graph is which. So these are not matched yet. I need to match them to the correct graph below. Okay. So the negative in the exponent, what can you guys tell me in the chat? What's the negative in the exponent going to do to my original graph? What's the negative in the exponent going to do to my original graph? Put it in the chat. All right, everybody's got the idea that it's going to reflect. It's just where is it going to reflect? It looks like we've got a little bit of discrepancy, and that's okay. All right, so if you have to, we just wrote it down, but if you had to, could you put this into Desmos if you really didn't know, right? I don't want you to, this is not the kind of problem I'd want you to put into Desmos. And the way I would do this on a test, I probably wouldn't, I don't know what I would do with it. I might put an A there instead of a 4. Look at that. It's definitely a decreasing. So that would be across the y-axis. Look at, let me just put both of them up there at the same time. Y equals 4 to the x. You see how I would be folding the line. You guys can't see that mouse cursor. Oh, that's not the right mouse cursor. I would be folding along that y-axis there. Okay, so it's definitely a reflection in the x or in the y-axis. And look at, so which one of those graphs do you think it is? Is it A, is it B, or is it C? What do you guys think? A, B, or C? Put it in the chat for me. All right, you guys are on it. That is definitely graph B. So this one's now out. Okay. All right, with the plus sign in there, in the exponent, should I be moving left, right, up, or down? What do you guys think? Tell me in the chat. Should I be moving left, right, up, or down in that next one? Remember, we're next to the X. We're making an X movement, okay? And our sign is always opposite when we make an X movement. All right, I'm seeing a lot of lefts. We are moving left, okay? Because we're up in the X and X is left and right, and then we want to do opposite sign, so opposite sign would put it negative. So that one should be graph C, okay? Which the only thing left we have is A. This one by default is A, but it's because, notice it's shifting down. And really the point you want to focus on is what's going on from that point 0, 1, okay? That's where you want to kind of count your movements from if you ever have to compare a couple that we're counting, okay? All right, let's look at describing in 7, and then we've got it for the day, okay? Isn't that nice? So, describe how each have been translated from the original. Again, we don't really need the pictures. We really don't even need our calculators. We can do this just by looking at the equation, okay? So when I am adding 1, can you guys describe what the movement is when I am just adding 1 in the exponent? Tell me what I'm doing when I'm adding 1 in the exponent. Put it in the chat for me. Oh, Angelica got fancy on the words. Logan was quick, but Angelica was fancy. Oh, and Alondra got fancy. I don't care about the fancy words, but I like it. Well, I like it when I see it. All right, we are going to move. Typically, we want to see one of two words. We want to either see the word translated or we want to see the word shifted. Okay, so that's, I'm going to say that it shifted left one. And good. And we're getting that opposite sign thing. So that's really good. All right. What is the negative in front of B going to do to it? And remember, look right here. Okay, look right there on the side. We wrote it down. What is the negative in front and going to do to the B in B? Put it in the chat. All right, I'm seeing a lot of reflecting in the x-axis, which is correct. Good job. Reflect in x-axis. All right, what about the +6 part? What's the +6 part going to do? Remember, it's not in an exponent. So what's the +6 going to do? All right, I'm seeing a lot of up 6. Remember when we are, and I'm going to use the word shifted or translated, shifted up 6. When we're doing Y's, we don't change the sign. I saw one person change the sign. So just make sure that when X's, we always do opposite. Y's, we keep the sign. All right, so looking at this last one here, I'm seeing a negative in the exponent, which I know does a reflect in the y-axis. And then you guys already told me that's going to do a shift, and it would be a downward shift, shift down 4. Okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, I hope. All right, let's talk about what you're actually going to need to do for the activity part of the lesson today. Okay, so what you need to do before you go on break, right? You're going to take a 5-minute break, and then you're going to sit back down and get this done right now. It's easy, all right? As I'm getting there, what can you guys tell me in the chat? When does the triad end? When does the triad end? Next Friday is break. Yep, there we go. So it's the Friday after break. So it seems far away. It seems like 2 weeks away is far away, right? But it's not going to be that far away, because remember, as soon as you get back from break, everybody's going to, all the teachers have been on break for a week, so they're going to slam you with work again. Hopefully not, but that's going to happen, right? So you want to make sure that you're caught up. Okay, so get caught up, get everything in over break, not just for my class, but for all your classes. Get it all done, okay? That also helps me, because we can make sure the grades get up to date. You guys can really see where you're at, and I know I need to do grading, okay? All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go into Google Classroom, and in order to do the activity, you have to have this Insert Learning Chrome extension added, okay? I'm trying to do tech tool, okay? So you're going to click on that link and make sure you hit Add to Chrome, okay? So mine says remove because I've already added it, but you should say add to Chrome if if you don't already have it. And it comes out to be this little IL guy right there. Once you have done that, you're going to come down here to number 27. Okay, and we're not turning the set of notes in yet. We're not done with it. We'll finish it after break. Okay, and you're going to click on this guy here. If it says you need a code, I don't think I put the code in. I will add the codes in there. Okay, give me a minute after I let you guys go. I will get the codes in, just in case it says you need a code. I think most people got in just by making sure that it was installed, and then you have to click on this link right here to get you into the assignment through Google Classroom, and then it should be automatic. Okay, because you have to have the extension installed and be in a class. I put you all in a class via Google Classroom. Okay. But what it is it's a little bit of an article to kind of get you a little preview of how logs are used out there, okay? And so you have a few things that you've got to fill in. So you've got to fill in a few things here and there. And then there's one here. There's a couple of times you got to fill in. There's one that's got some responses on it that you're going to make. Make sure it's in your own words and you don't copy and paste someone else's, okay? But it was kind of nice so you can see what other people are thinking, okay? So that's the assignment today. So it has nothing to do with the notes. Okay, it's kind of a preview of, hey, getting us interested in what we're going to do when we get back from break. Okay. I think we need a joke. Andy's got a really, really good one today. It's probably like the funniest of the bunch that he's got since with all the Valentine's jokes. I'm not sure he gets it, but it's still funny. He delivers it pretty well. All right, here he comes. He's on the new sofa. He's sitting in mom's seat.
Why was the video gamer alone on Valentine's Day? He was spending too much time with his Xbox. Very sad. I'll be here all week because I live here.
All right, you guys. Please take a 5-minute break, get up, move around, and then you need to go in and get this assignment done. Let's not forget about it, okay? Because this will count towards triad grade, okay? Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful break. Take some time off, okay? And it is gonna zoom real fast. Amy's totally correct about that. All right. So have a good break. I will put that code out there in case you need it, and I will see you all in about a week. Okay. Bye. Have a great break. Bye, Millie. Bye, Matthew. Roxana. Bye, Yuya. Bye, Amy. Bye, Brian. I know that you've got to do a test. Oh, I lost Roxana already. I've got to start her test. Hey, I need you to leave me alone for a few minutes, please. All right. Hey, Roxana. I am going to